When in a dark space, where do you run? Or what do you run to? Do the people of God experience depression? COVID is a worldwide traumatic event. In today's lesson, we address natural responses to traumatic events. Good morning. Today is day 4 of this week's lesson, in which we look now at how a depressed man of God finds rest while in his deep, dark space. Our key text for this week is found in Psalms 21, verse 1, the New King James Version, and it reads, "The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid?" The title of today's lesson is Running Away. And I like the title, Man on the Run. Based on the data from the World Health Organization, the most common illness worldwide, affecting more than 300 million people each year, does not, like COVID, always have obvious visible symptoms. Depression is the leading cause of disability worldwide, and it is a major contributor to the global problem of disease. Unfortunately, often depression is not spoken about in the Christian circle because it can be seen as a sign of a lack of faith. After all, aren't God's people always supposed to be filled with joy, peace, and happiness? So, isn't depression a sign that something has gone wrong with our relationship with God? Of course not. Most of us know that this is not true. Even Christians, faithful Christians, can sometimes struggle with depression, especially after a traumatic event. And it is not a sign of a lack of faith or trust in God. In reading the Psalms, we see the pain, suffering, and anguish that God's faithful people suffered. Can you recognize depression when it comes? Sometimes depression slowly and quietly takes hold of us, and we recognize it only when it's tightening its grip. At other times, it quickly strikes after a particular draining emotional or physical event. For example, God's faithful prophet Elijah was completely drained emotionally and physically after Mount Carmel. In 1 Kings 18, Elijah has just seen God's miracle of fire coming down from heaven. In answer to his prayer, he had seen rain come and end a 3-year drought. Yet, at a threat from Queen Jezebel, he runs away and hides. Elijah was a man on the run. Now, why does Elijah react to Jezebel's threat by running? Let's take a look at it. And I'm reading 1 Kings 19, 1 through 5. 1 Kings 19, 1 through 5. Verse 19 starting. And Ahab told Jezebel all that Elijah had done, also how he had executed all the prophets with the sword. Then Jezebel sent a message to Elijah saying, "So let the gods do to me and more also if I do not make your life as the life of one of them by tomorrow about this time." And when he saw that, he arose and ran for his life and went to Beersheba, which belonged to Judah, and left the servant there. But he himself went a day's journey into the wilderness and came and sat down under a broom tree. And he prayed that he might die and said, "It's enough now, Lord. Take my life, for I am no better than my fathers." Then, as he lay and slept under a broom tree, suddenly an angel touched him and said to him, "Arise and eat." Elijah had a very exhausting 24 hours. This experience came with a rude awakening and a death threat that served as a depression trigger for Elijah. Even more draining, Elijah was there when the prophets of Baal were slaughtered in 1 Kings 18:40. And it says, "And Elijah said to them, seize the prophets of Baal. Don't let one of them escape." So they seized them, and Elijah brought them down to the brook of Kishon and executed them there. Such an event, even for a righteous cause, can easily lead to post-traumatic stress for those who either watch or, even worse, take part. So what does Elijah do? He begins to run. He becomes a man on the run. He tries to get away. When depression hits, some run to alcohol and recreational drugs. Sometimes we run to the refrigerator and try to eat our happiness again. Sometimes we run to the bed to sleep our emotional exhaustion away. And sometimes we look for a new relationship, a new job, or a new location in our quest to run away. And at other times, we bury ourselves in more work, more deadlines, and appointments as we try to run away from the nameless something that is draining our joy and our rest. And of course, many people run to medications of some sort or another, all in attempt to dull the pain. In the end, though, the things we run to only mask the symptoms. They don't solve the problem, and often they make it only worse. So, what can we do? Well, stay tuned tomorrow as we continue looking at God's prophet who drops to such a low state that he desires death rather than life. How does he pull out of this deep, dark place? If you would like to review a copy of this week's lesson, you can obtain it at ssnet.org. That's ssnet.org. Click on Adult SS and select Weekly Lesson. I'll see you tomorrow. Get some rest and have a blessed and wonderful day.